Hello, everyone. Welcome to another study of Oahspe.com podcast video, copyright for YouTube. Today's subject will be Worshippers of the Great Spirit, Part 1. Today I will be discussing sub-Saharan African worshippers of the Great Spirit. And in part 2, I plan to change the subject to Native American worshippers of the Great Spirit, or American Indians. Now, I'm on the study of Oahspe.com website on the page called TAE and facial recognition. Now, here it says, the original religion of the African people, however, was animism, and there is no doubt that most of the slaves were animists. And that comes from the website Original Religions Practiced by Africans. Clicking on that link, at the top it says Race and History, News and Views, Race and History Forum, Original Religions Practiced by Africans. Now it says right here, it is true that slaves brought to America were forced to take European, quote, Christian names, and some were pressed to become Christians. It is also true that the millions of African slaves sold into the Muslim Middle East were forced to accept Arabic names in the Islamic religion. Now, scrolling down, it says right here, because the Islamic religion had begun to spread into West Africa, perhaps as many as 20% of the slaves brought to America were Muslims. The original religion of the African people, however, was animism. And there is no doubt that most of the slaves were animists. Now going back, now it says right here, animism. Number 2, the belief in a supernatural power that organizes and animates the material universe. And if I click on animism definition by Oxford Dictionary, which I have a link to, from lexico.com/definition, says at the top, U.S. Dictionary Animism. Definition of animism in English. Animism: the attribution of a soul to plants, inanimate objects, and natural phenomena. This correlates with an Oahspe where it says Jehovah, the all person, is the all, including plants, inanimate objects, and natural phenomena. In number 2, the definition that I read previously, the belief in a supernatural power that organizes and animates the material universe. A supernatural power. Or as in Oahspe, it says of Jehovah, the potent and the unseen. The potent meaning power. Now clicking back, let's see, gonna go forward again. And then go back, and it says Tay and facial recognition, Ham, Shem, and so forth, page. Now it says underneath the animism definition by Oxford Dictionary, the link to that, it says a supernatural power. And this is from www.takuwankan.com / shamanism. takuwankan.com / shamanism. It says a supernatural power that organizes and animates the material universe. And then I put equals the Great Spirit Jehovah in parentheses. And from the website takuwankan.com / shamanism, it says shamanism is the practice that involves a shaman reaching an altered state of consciousness in order to meet up with and interact with the spirit world and channel mystical and supernatural energies into this world or this reality. It sounds similar to what trance mediums seek to do in America ever since the dawn of Cosmon. To meet up with, reading it again, shamanism is the practice that involves a shaman reaching an altered state of consciousness in order to meet up with and interact with the spirit world and channel mystical and supernatural energies into this world or this reality. Shamanism shares the animistic worldview that non-human entities such as animals, plants, and inanimate objects or phenomena all possess a spiritual essence or soul. Shamanism also shares the animistic belief in a supernatural power that organizes and animates the material universe, namely the Great Spirit or God or Creator. I would put in brackets. And that is from takuwankan.com / shamanism. And clicking on the link that I have on studyofoahspe.com will bring up the website. And there it is right there. Taku Wankan says, live your heart, embrace your divinity, sing your soul song. Scrolling down, it says shamanism. This is what I just read previously. Where it says right there, shamanism shares the animistic worldview that non-human entities such as animals, plants, and inanimate objects or phenomena all possess a spiritual essence or soul. And shamanism also shares the animistic belief in a supernatural power that organizes and animates the material universe, namely the Great Spirit or God. Now, here is from a quote from that website. It says, shamanism teaches us that everything that exists is alive and has a spirit, and that we are joined with the earth and all of life via our spiritual interconnectedness. Just as quantum physics describes a field of energy that connects all of life, shamans also speak of a web of life that connects everything. And you can read the rest of that on the studyofoahspe.com. Click on the link. And going back. Now, it says here, American Indians and Africans before slavery were shamanists and animists and believed in the Great Spirit. Most African cultures, if not all, believe in a supreme creator in one form or another. Although the supreme creator is usually referred to by him, etc., it is beyond sex, being both male and female. It has no form and is thought of in an abstract way. It is available to any human regardless of their position. A breath of its divine being is within all inanimate and within all animate and inanimate things. It is known as, and I'll try to get these names, these African names right, but if I misspell them, it isn't because I didn't try. It is known as Mulungu, East Africa, Liza, Central Africa, Nyambi, West Tropics, Nyami, Ghana, the Molder, giver of breath and souls, God of destiny, one who exists of himself, God of pity and comfort, the inexplicable, Ancient of Days. Remember that one, Ancient of Days. I'll go back to that later. The one who bends even kings, the one you meet everywhere, etc. The one you meet everywhere. Now that sounds like what Oahspe would call the all person, being everywhere, ever present. And that is from this website, /godafrica.html. Clicking on that link. It says right here, the gods and goddesses of Africa. Now the term God and goddesses is probably a Christian term from the Bible, God, but in Africa they understood the difference between a God and the Creator, which I'll reveal later, either in this video or in another video. Most African cultures, if not all, believe in a supreme creator in one form or another. This is from the website of the link that I clicked on. A God behind the gods, a supreme God who created everything. The Creator is thought to have once lived on earth but left it for his kingdom in the sky because of human infractions. It is known as Mulungu, East Africa, Liza, Central Africa. These are some of the other names that I read. Although the Supreme Creator is usually referred to by him, etc., it is beyond sex, being both male and female. It has no form and is thought of in an abstract way. It is available to any human regardless of their position. A breath of its divine being is within all animate and inanimate things. And then you can read the rest if you would like. You can go to the website and click on the link and read the rest of the information if you would like. But returning, says right here, throughout African history, God, Creator, Chukwi, Allah, Yahweh, Modimo, Mudzimu, etc., in various configurations has been a central aspect of identity. In parentheses 2002 Pew survey. There is no concept of an African atheist in antiquity. The thing that makes us distinctively African is our spirituality, and we are not talking denominations or names for various religious systems in living Africa. We are talking about that distinctive personality found everywhere in ancient and modern Africa. It was this centrality of a reverence for a higher deity that traveled with us to the Americas, that survived the boat and the plantation, that reformed itself into different forms here, Nation of Islam, Christianity, modern Vodun, and so forth. In Igbo religion, a stark contrast is drawn between Shukwi Chiniki, the Almighty God to whom we owe praise and thanks, and Ndiichie, ancestor spirits, Alusi, and other spiritual forces. Here it says a contrast is drawn between the Almighty and ancestor spirits. In one of the definitions of animism, you will read the worship of spirits. But here it says there is a contrast drawn. And I've seen that elsewhere. So they're not worshiping the ancestor spirits or lesser spirits. They worship and reverence and know the difference of the Almighty and those other spirits. The Swazi religion, the Creator, the Great Spirit, God Himself, is known as the one who came first. Mvelinkanti, the one who came first, pre-existed creation. African belief systems. The core of religion in traditional Africa consists of a belief in a supreme being known by various names in the different languages in African societies, especially in the culture areas of Africa whose influences were to become prominent in the Americas. This supreme being goes by such names as Olorun and Olodumare among the Yoruba, Mawu Lisa among the Fan of the Republic of Benin, Anayami and Anayankopan among the Akan. This supreme being is the creator. Chiniki, the spirit that creates among the Igbo of Nigeria, and sustainer, Mibi, the one who bears the world among the Bulu of Cameroon, of the universe, the sustainer of the universe. There are no visual representations of the Supreme Being, who is understood to be a great spirit, as the Igbo name Chuku, Chi meaning spirit, Uku meaning great or great spirit. There is no visual representations of the Supreme Being who is understood to be a great spirit, as the Igbo name that I just mentioned makes explicitly clear. And because the Supreme Being is a great spirit, there are no temples built specifically for him / her. The Yoruba say, since Olorun is everywhere, it is foolish to try to confine him, her in a temple. Olorun is everywhere, like the all person of Oahspe, or the ever present, as Oahspe says. The Akan also say, if you want to speak to Onayami, speak to the winds. Like the winds, Onayami is invisible and is everywhere. The Great Spirit has attendant spirits, children, agents, or messengers who ran errands and who reflect aspects of the nature of the Great Spirit. The Yoruba call such beings Orishas and clearly distinguish between them and Olorun, which is the creator, which is everywhere. For the Yoruba, these Orishas are many. Numbering 400 plus 1 all the way up to 1600 plus 1 for the Orishas. And this correlates to sacred numbers 400 and 1600 Dan and Etherian arc cycles, each ruled by different Orishas or child of the Great Spirit, as mentioned in Oahspe, the numbers of Dan and the Etherian arc cycles, and during each arc cycle is ruled by a different god who is son of the creator, as written in Oahspe. This is very similar to the Yoruba religious numbers of 400 and 1600. Leaving room for humans to discover the multifarious dimensions or manifestations of the power of Olorun. These Orishas include Orisha Nala, the Yoruba arch divinity. In bracket, I put arch or archangels. And Olodumar's deputy, who assisted in the creation of both the earth and human beings, which in Oahspe, the Etherian Orion chiefs and gods assists in the creation. Some are creators of worlds and galaxies and planets, and assist in the peopling of worlds and planets with people capable of everlasting life. Now going back to another page on the studyofOahspe.com website. Going to mathematical knowledge of Israelites and sub-Saharan Africans. Clicking on that link. And scrolling down. Right here it says, over 12,000 years ago, Africans developed Ifa oracle divination based on the square of 16 equals 16 by 16 equals 256 equals 2 to the 8 corresponding to the vertices of an 8-dimensional hypercube and to the binary 2 choice, Clifford algebra, and so on and so forth. And I have links to that information. But below that it says, and this will be a repeat of what I read previously, but from another website. The Yoruba gods of Nigeria once existed as humans and had their way of communicating. Prior to their disappearance, they left with the people a means to communicate with them in the outer realm. Now, from Oahspe, Book of Safa, Imhak, Dark or Degree of Golden Chamber. Again, the Oahspe Book of Safa contains important knowledge, scientific, factual, and religious knowledge, spiritual knowledge. From the Book of Safa, Imhak, verse 42, W. It says, who are Etherians? Verse 43, spirits who have risen above the bondage of the earth and its atmosphere, spirits who can come only to such mortals as have attained beyond earthly desires. Now, I've highlighted in color relevant words. Like from the Yoruba of Nigeria, it said, in highlighted in yellow, Yoruba gods of Western Nigeria once existed as humans. And I highlighted from the Book of Safa, Imhak, verse 42 and 43, highlighted in yellow, it says Etherians. Yoruba gods of Western Nigeria once existed as humans. Well, so according to Oahspe, so did the Etherians. And highlighted in yellow, spirits who have risen once existed as humans. Etherians, spirits who have risen above the bondage of the earth and its atmosphere. Or as in the Yoruba religion, highlighted in green, in the outer realm. And from the Book of Safa, highlighted in green, above the bondage of the earth and its atmosphere. Above the bondage of the earth and its atmosphere. correlates with, in the Yoruba religion, in the outer realm, outside the earth and its atmosphere, or the Etherian regions of the Etherians. It goes on to say in verse 43 of the book of Safa, Imhak, spirits who can only come to such mortals as have attained beyond earthly desires. Verse 24, who are the angels of heaven? Verse 25, people who once lived on earth or other corporal worlds. So highlighted in yellow, people who once lived on earth from Oahspe. This correlates with highlighted in yellow, Yoruba gods of Western Nigeria once existed as humans. People who once lived on earth or other corporal worlds. Now, from the web link I have here, which I'll click on later, it says an Orisha is a spirit or deity that reflects one of the manifestations of the Creator, Olodumare, in the Yoruba spiritual or religious system. So you can see how this Western African religious or spiritual system correlates with what's in Oahspe, the spirituality of Faithists in Oahspe. You see how the correlation with the Western African religious or spiritual belief. Now, clicking on the link, it says right here, the curious history of artificial intelligence and African perspective. And from this website, you can read where I got the information from about the Yoruba and the Orishas and the Creator. Right there, and it has references where it says right there, an Orisha is a spirit or deity that reflects one of the manifestations of the Creator. And one of the sources, it says right there, 7 things most people don't know about African spirituality. And that is from, quoting from October 2017, https // medium.com. So from medium.com, it mentions 7 things most people don't know about African spirituality. Interesting. And if you want to check out that link, you can from the studyofoahspe.com website. I provide a link to this page, and to this link. So just scrolling down, looking at some of the other sources and going back. Now, it says here, and this is what I read before, so I won't go into it. It's about the 1400 and 1600 from the Yoruba, and so on and so forth. And that's from www.africanbelief.com. And I'm going to click on some links. Right there, there's a Google link to these Orishas include Orisha Nala, the Yoruba arch divinity, And there's links from Religion in the African Diaspora, African Holocaust Society, and some other websites. Here's another link that I provide, and clicking on that, there's a link to the numbers all the way up to 1600 plus 1, leaving room for humans to discover the multifarious. And there is the same links as before: African religion, Haitian voodoo, Santeria, religion in the African diaspora, African Holocaust Society, where it talks about the Orishas numbering 400 plus 1 all the way up to 1600 plus 1. Again, this correlates with the numbers 400 and 1600 in Oahspe, the number of Dan and the Etherian arc cycles. Plus 1 could mean when there's a successor during one arc cycle, when someone takes his place temporarily. So that could be the plus 1. Very interesting mathematical and spiritual knowledge in sub-Saharan Africa before slavery and before Christianity and Islam. Clicking on this link, this was a name for the creator, one of the names from West Africa, from Nigeria. Olodumare. I remember Rich mentioning that, and I put that name into Google Translate and put it under automatic detection of the language and the translation in English. And when I put in Olodumare, it translated as Almighty in English. See there from Google Translate, translate.google.com. This was just me verifying through Google Translate what those websites said about those names of the creator from the Yoruba, from Nigeria in West Africa. And another link that I have there, this is another name from for the creator from West Africa, from Nigeria. And let's see the language that was detected there again. Google Translate detected Yoruba. Yoruba detected. And the name for the creator was Olorun, and it translates in English as God, but not a lesser god or a false god or a god of a planet. We're talking about the creator God. And there it says translations of Olorun from Google Translate: noun, God, Almighty. There you go. The Almighty, the All Person, Almighty, Omnipotent, Omni. So back to another page on the studyofOSP.com website. Miscellaneous. This name of this page from the study of Oahspe.com is Miscellaneous 3, Sacred Mathematics, Geometry, Music, Harmonics, Cosmology, Cycles, Fractals, Chaos. So scrolling down about 7/8 of the way down. So I got a long way to scroll. There is a lot of information on this page, a lot of mathematics and a lot of information. And I'll cover this and other pages and other information on future podcasts and videos. Or if you don't want to wait that long, you can visit studyofoahspe.com and read for yourself. I spent a lot of time and research on these web pages. Now I think I'm on the right web page this time. Scrolling all the way down near the bottom. Now I'll stop here. I've read this already. The original religion of the African people was animism. No doubt that most of the slaves were animists, and I already went over the link to that. Animism, belief in the supernatural, in a supernatural power that organizes and animates the material universe, which equals the Great Spirit, Jehovah. Shamanism shares the animistic worldview that non human entities such as animals, plants, and inanimate objects or phenomena all possess a spiritual essence or soul. And that was from takuwankan.com/shamanism, as I went over before. And here it says some common Lakota words and terms. Takuwankan, Wankan relatives. Relatives relates to all things in nature, not just to blood relatives or other humans. And I have a link to that. And in Oahspe, Book of Jehovah, chapter 1, it says, verse 2, he said, I am, and he comprehended all things, the seen and the unseen, nor is there aught in all the universe but what is part of him. Verse 3, he said, I am the soul of all, and the all that is seen is of my person and my body. This relates to the animistic worldview that non human entities such as animals, plants, and inanimate objects or phenomena all possess a spiritual essence or soul. That spiritual essence or soul is what Oahspe calls Jehovah, the all person, who said, I am the soul of all, and the all that is seen is of my person and my body. from the Message of the Divine Iliad by Walter Russell. For behold, said the Universal One, I am within all things, centering them. Interesting enough, in Oahspe, the Lord's fifth book, chapter 3, verse 13, it says, the Lord said, having designed Ham for teaching the barbarian world of me and my dominion. And in Oahspe glossary, it says of Ham, cosmological name of Egypt, the followers of Abram bestowed that country's name on him after they settled there. One who is black with sunburn, Ham, like in Abraham, the name for Africa, Ham. And it says in Oahspe, the Lord said, having designed Ham, or Africa, for teaching the barbarian world of me and my dominion. And in the Bible, the Bible refers to Egypt as the land of Ham in Psalm 78, verse 51, 105, verses 23-27, 106, verses 22, and 1 Chronicles 4, verses 40. Ham, son of Noah, in Wikipedia. Now, in regards to Ham, meaning Africa, here is testimony from the Bible and Thomas Paine and Oahspe. The Bible, 1 Chronicles 4:40, English Standard Version, where they found rich, good pasture, and the land was very broad, quiet, and peaceful. For the former inhabitants there belonged to Ham. And from Thomas Paine, it says, the managers of the trade themselves and others testify that many of these African nations inhabit fertile countries, are industrious farmers, enjoy plenty, and lived quietly, averse to war, before the Europeans debauched them with liquors and bribing them against one another, and that these inoffensive people are brought into slavery by stealing them, tempting kings to sell subjects or chiefs, which they can have no right to do, and hiring one tribe to war against another in order to catch prisoners. That's from African Slavery in America by Thomas Paine, 1775. And according to Oahspe, Thomas Paine was under the direct inspiration of the God and his lords, the God of the planet and his lords, who were under the direct inspiration of Jehovah. And that is from constitution.org /2/Afri. And clicking on that link, of constitution.org, Constitution Society, now I may have to update that link, but that is where that African Slavery in America from Thomas Paine was located. Let me see if it's still on there. If it's not, I'll update the link so that people can click on it and find it. Okay, I'll have to update that link. It was on there, then it was probably moved or changed. Now to another web page on the studyofosp.com website. And this is on studyofosp.com webpage called Israelites, Ihuans, Gans, Adinkra, Tesseract. Scrolling down. Now I'll back up and mention this right here. Right here it says the Akan and other societies of Ghana created a collection of specific icons that several researchers have compared to a written language. In brackets, I put panic was a iconic written language of the Ihans. But rather than composed of the vast number of symbols we call words, the Ghanaian symbolic vocabulary is much smaller, and each symbol refers not to a single word, but an entire social, religious, or philosophical concept. That's from page 78 of African Fractals by Ron Eglash. And there it says Adinkra are visual symbols originally created by the Akan of Ghana and the Gayaman of Cote d'Ivory in West Africa, or the Ivory Coast in West Africa, that represent. And there's a symbol right there, a Dinkra symbol of the universe. In an Oahspe Book of Cosmology and Prophecy, chapter 5, verse 10, an all-seeing eye is the cause and creator of the whole universe, which is his person. And there's the Adinkra symbol of the Akan of Ghana in West Africa. There's that same symbol there, which represents cosmos or omnipresence, because the creator is the all person, ever present and everywhere. There's that symbol again, Onayak Kopen Anawi, which translates as God's or Creator's eye, omnipresence of God or the Creator. God's eye sees all secrets. And this is spoken of in Oahspe also, the all-seeing eye of the Creator. And some people call this a Masonic symbol, and it's on the back of the American or U.S. dollar, and they call it a Masonic symbol. But this is an ancient spiritual symbol, which is spoken of in the book of Safa. This is an ancient spiritual symbol in Africa that had nothing to do with Masonic people, but is a Faithist symbol. And right here it says, notice similarity of a Dinkra symbol above in meaning to Oahspe. Book of Safa, Samoan, Panic, 68, interpretation. And there it is right there from the book of Safa, the symbol. The same symbol of the West African all-seeing eye that is spoken of in Oahspe. And there it says, there it is, verse 68 from the book of Safa, Samoan, Panic. It says right there, the all-seeing. Right there. So scrolling back down, now right here, it says, finally made it to where I was scrolling to. It says Aboriginal spirituality. Aboriginal or original. Aboriginal spirituality. Supreme being called the Great Spirit. Each Aboriginal group has a different understanding of God. They believe in animism, which holds that all things have a soul. Founder. There is no specific founder as each group developed over many millennia. That means many thousands of years ago. Animism. The attribution of soul to plants, inanimate objects, and natural phenomena, which I read before. And the belief in a supernatural power that organizes and animates the material universe, which I read before. Other definitions of animism, just as I read before. Characteristics, the circle of life, close and respectful relationship with nature, key players, shamans, elders, forms of cultural expression. Now I'm back. And as I was reading, forms of cultural expression, interpretation of dreams, hunting rituals, communicating with spirits. And a lot of communicating with spirits was done during the dawn of Cosmon and the birth of spiritualism in 1848, all the way up to till now, and especially up till 1881 when Oahspe was typed. But it says right here, Oahspe, Book of Wars Against Jehovah, chapter 21, verse 11. I will leave one race of Ihuans on the earth in Gautama, even till the era of Cosmon. And men and angels shall see and understand that man of himself never invented a god in figure of a man born of a woman, and that only through the inspiration of my enemies, who build kingdoms in Hada for their own glory, hath any people ever fallen from my estate to worship a god in the image of man, to worship a god in the image of a man. And right there is an illustration of a god in the image of a man that is predominantly worshipped here in America, in Europe, and through colonialism in Africa and in Asia and other parts of the world. And it says right there, above, Jesus Christ, and in parentheses, aka Luamung, or Payad for Mormons, sitting on his throne in heaven. A God in the image of a man, born of a woman, as Oahspe says, only through the inspiration of my enemies, who build kingdoms in Hada for their own glory, hath any people ever fallen from my estate to worship a God in the image of a man. And I have just read to you how in Aboriginal or original spirituality, they worship the Great Spirit and not a God in the image of a man. And this was mainly done through force, conquering, colonialism, and not through persuasion and peaceful means. Now, in regards to where Oahspe says he will leave one race of Ihuans on the earth in Gautama, meaning America, even till the era of Cosmon. There you have two pictures right there. Below on the left is an Angwi Gan, in Oahspe called an American Indian, an Angwi Gan. On the right is an Ihuan, African American. And there you see. Moses was an Ihuan. It says in Oahspe, Moses, an Egyptian lawgiver. An Egyptian lawgiver, he was contemporaneous with Kapia of India and Chini of China, living 2,400 years after Abraham, 3,400 BK. Moses was a large man, a pure Ihuan, copper-colored. And this was a search key phrases top 10 from studyofosp.com several years ago. And the number one search, it says sacredtext.com/Oahspe. And then you got domain theory, so on and so forth. But above, fifth search key phrase from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It says Oahspe plan brown race by Ethereans. That means somebody was typed this in and came to studyofosp.com through those keywords. And what they mean by brown race is the Ihuans, or what Oahspe calls the copper-colored race, who tended to believe in the Great Spirit, which Oahspe says that he would leave that race in America even till the era of Cosmon. as an example of who would never invent a God in the form of a God in the figure of a man born of a woman. And right there, American Indians and Africans before slavery. And you can even include American Indians because for the most part they were converted to Christianity too. Both of them did not, they worshiped the Great Spirit and did not worship a God in the image of a man born of a woman. So both of these are testimony of what Oahspe said as an example of people in America who of themselves never invented a God in the figure of a man born of a woman, only through the inspiration of my enemies. That means the idol worshippers who were inspired by the false gods, who inspired them to go and conquer others and to force them into their religion, which is the definition of the beast in Oahspe, enforced religion. Not their original religion before colonization or slavery. Now, this one Mormon website called MormonUniversalism.com / the Oahspe text in Mormonism. This one Mormonism wrote, Oahspe teaches a system of spiritual adepthood similar to the law of one, that God came to the earth long ago and made a race of men able to perceive him through clairvoyance and clairaudience, that many of a certain race called the Iahuans, and in parentheses he wrote House of Israel, had this gift. Now scrolling down, says right here, Imwari, also known as Musika Vanhu, Musikai, Tenzai, and Ishi, is the supreme creator deity according to Shona traditional religion. It is believed that Imwari is the author of all things and all life and all is in him. That sounds like something out of Oahspe again. Imwari is the author of all things and all life and all is in him. The majority of this deity's followers are concentrated in Mozambique, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. Imwari is an omnipotent being who rules over spirits and is the supreme god of the religion. The same deity is applied and also referred to as Inkhoshi in northern and southern Ndebele, and it is this deity that is worshipped in African traditional religion, whereby people worship through the ancestors via spirit mediums, who were believed to be inspired by the spirits of truth, which were believed to connect to the deity to deliver messages and divine guidance. There again, that sounds like spirit mediums of spiritualism from 1848 to 1881. Imwari's reference dates back to the age of the ancient king Monomotapa, or the Mutapa kingdom on the Zambezi River. The name Imwari in Shona means the force behind creation. The word itself signifies, resembles, and is interpreted as God, but only in the religious context. The furthering of this term's acceptance is when the Christian missionaries interpreted the Bible for the locals, in which they used the term Imwari instead of God. Although missionary Bible translations gendered Mawari as male, the Shona understood Imwari as being both male and female, or neither male and female. This was the African traditional religion. And the Christian missionaries tried to corrupt it, but they understood the Creator the same as the Creator is described in Oahspe. In northern Zimbabwe, Imwari was contacted through spirit mediums or spirits. In other parts of Zimbabwe, he spoke to the people via an oracle, like in the Arachnabuagala, Oracle Nebula Earth Galaxy, Oracle. Or as it says in the Bible, the oracles of God. It was also believed that anyone who defied the spiritual law would develop leprosy, as the name of the ineffable and unknowable God was believed to be holy and beyond everything. The name, believed to be ineffable and unknowable, was believed to be holy and beyond everything. That sounds like the concept of Eoi in Oahspe that Moses held sacred. Very similar. And that was from wikipedia.org, Imwari, which you could click on and read yourself. There it says Shona, traditional religion, or Chevanhu, is part of what is understood as African traditional religion, ATR, that is practiced all over Africa. And I'll repeat that again. Shona, traditional religion, or Chevanhu, is part of what is understood as African traditional religion, ATR, that is practiced all over Africa. It is a belief in God, or Imwari, or Musikavanhu. However, there is no direct communication between the living and Musavanhu. Musikava, let me pronounce that right. Musikavanhu, but through ancestors. And I have a link to that, which you could read about the Shona traditional religion. Now, using Google Translate again, I use this African traditional religion name of God or the Creator, Musiki, and Google Translate detected it as Shona and translated it into English as the Creator. And there I wrote Musiki translates as Creator in English. See above Google Translate. Now the other Shona African traditional religion for the name of the Creator is Musikavanhu, which Google Translate detected as Shona and translated in English as Don't Be Human. Now this is very interesting. Pay attention to those words and remember it. Don't be human. Because underneath I wrote this. Musiki Kavanhu, or Musikavanhu, translates as not human in English. Musikavanhu does not become human. That's what don't be human means. Does not become human. Not incarnate. Not anthropomorphic. That has to do with what is written in Oahspe, Book of Wars Against Jehovah, chapter 26, verse 11. I will leave one race of Ihuans on earth in Gautama, meaning America, even till the era of Cosmon, and men and angels shall understand that man of himself never inventeth a God in figure of a man born of a woman, and that only through the inspiration of my enemies, which would be the false gods, the idol worshippers, who went around conquering other people and enforcing them to accept their religious belief, which is the beast, enforced religion, who build kingdoms in Hatia for their own glory. Hath any people ever fallen from my estate to worship a God in image of man? So that's right there. There's the proof of what Oahspe is talking about. One of the proofs or evidence that I've mentioned previously on this video, that in the African traditional religion, before colonialism, before they were Christianized or before they were converted to Islam, they had a name for the creator, Musikavanhu, which translates into English as don't be human. In other words, Musikavanhu does not become human, not incarnate, not anthropomorphic, not in a God in the figure of a man born of a woman. So below that it says, the Shona believe in heaven and have always believed in it. His true name, Imwari, was too sacred to be spoken in everyday occasions. There again, that sounds like something out of Oahspe, that Moses revered the name of the Creator, Eoi, and it was thought too sacred to be spoken in everyday occasions, and was reserved for high ceremonies in the dearest of need, as it showed him disrespect to be free with it. As a result, God had many names, all of which would be recognized as his even by people who had never heard the name before. Kind of like in Oahspe, there's many names for the Creator, all referring to the all person. He was considered too holy to just go to straight up, hence the need for ancestral intercessors. Well, in Oahspe, it talks about how the Ethereans, who were in direct inspiration with the Creator, during times of Dan, they come directly, but during other times, they come through familiar spirits, which are the ancestral intercessors. This was part of traditional African religion. In Oahspe Book of Safa, Imhak, again, the Book of Safa contains much scientific, factual, and spiritual information. This is just another example of it. Oahspe Book of Safa, Imhak, verse 29. Worlds unseen by mortals fill the Etherean firmament above. These worlds are heaven, these the spirit worlds. This relates to the traditional African religion. The Shona believe in heaven and have always believed in it. Now back to Oahspe Book of Safa. Worlds unseen by mortals fill the Etherean firmament above. These worlds are heaven, these the spirit worlds, these the Etherean worlds. These are the abodes of the spirits of the dead. Verse 30. How came the angels from heaven down to the corporal earth? Verse 31. In the Danha, they come direct. At other times, they come through familiar spirits. Who are familiar spirits? Verse 32. Verse 33. Our fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, and other relatives and friends who have not been long dead. This is why in traditional African religion, they revered the ancestors, because as it says in Oahspe, Book of Safa, Imhak, verse 31, or verse 30 and 31, it says, how came the angels from heaven down to the corporal earth? Verse 31, in the Danha, they come direct. At other times, they come through familiar spirits. So scrolling down, and these are some of the other names for the Creator in Oahspe. The Creator, the Great Spirit, the Almighty, the I Am, Father, Heavenly Father, all highest, all light, all person, and all higher, highest cause, person, ever present, ever presence, named by man, Jehovah, Elohim, Eoi, Eloi, Egoquim, Ormazd, and so on and so forth. Names of Creator in Oahspe. See above. Ormazd equals Master Light. The Creator is an invisible force or spirit. In physics, that which is the most powerful has no form or shape and is invisible, like electricity or energy or the wind, different from the big man in the sky or the sky gods. That which is all powerful is also omnipresent, which is the all person. Oahspe, the Lord's fifth book, chapter 6, verse 14. But man forgot the Creator because of the wonder of his works. Even to this day, men incline to view as substantial and real things that are seen, and to reject the all potent, which is unseen. And here it says in the index of Oahspe, Ode, sky time, equivalent to 11 long years. This name was applied to the Israelites in satire, as the Anglo-Saxon word odious is used to this day. In Oahspe Index, it says Anglo-Saxon word applied to Israelites to this day is odious. Definition of odious: arousing or deserving hatred or repugnance, hateful. That's from merriam-webster.com/dictionary / odious. Oahspe Book of Leka or Lika, son of Jehovah, chapter 4, verse 4. For thou shalt find my chosen, a scattered people. Meaning chosen, meaning Faithists, those who worship the Great Spirit. My chosen, a scattered people, persecuted and enslaved. The idol worshippers tended to persecute and enslave the Faithists, or those who worship the Great Spirit. They tended to persecute and slaughter those who worshiped the Great Spirit. The most despised of all the races of men. But I will show my power with them. I will raise them up. The things I do through them and the words I speak through them, even in their ignorance and darkness, shall become might in the world, shall speak, and their words shall not be forgotten, shall write, and their books will be a new foundation in the world. Because my hand will be upon them, my wisdom shall come forth out of their mouths. Now, the Anglo-Saxon word applied to Israelites to this day is odious, meaning deserving hatred or repugnance, hateful. And Oahspe said, my chosen, a scattered people, persecuted and enslaved, the most despised of all the races of men. And I'm sure those who are listening to this video and watching it know who are considered the most despised of all the races of men on earth. But Oahspe says, Jehovah, the Creator, says, I will show my power with them. But I will show my power with them, even though that they are scattered, persecuted, enslaved, and the most despised of all the races of men. The Creator says, but I will show my power with them. I will raise them up. The things I do through them and the words I speak through them, even in their ignorance and darkness, shall become mighty. But my chosen, who are their slaves and are as nothing in the world, shall speak, and their words shall not be forgotten, shall write, and their books will be a new foundation in the world. Because my hand will be upon them, my wisdom shall come forth out of their mouths. So there it is saying Jehovah is with the ones who the Anglo-Saxons call odious, who they despise, who they hate. who they have made slaves. Well, that is the end of this video podcast. Thank you for listening, watching, and tuning in. And stay tuned for another studyofOASP.com podcast.